welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. Happy Pride Month. So I didn't realize that when I recorded my last video it was going to be going up in June, and so I didn't say Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. I hope you're staying safe out there. There are mean people out there and we need to keep going. So in April there was a little bit of a controversial thing that went down that I wanted to shine the light on, and this thing that went down was somebody by the name of Marley Jaxx, who, if you're not familiar with her, is a business coach inside of the Clickfunnels world. Her business partner currently is Steve Larson. He is within Prove It, in the same team as Russell Brunson, who is the founder of, or the co-founder of Clickfunnels. And so all of this is tied together in some weird way. And Marley, put out a bunch of content in April that made her look like she was going to be canceled. And she basically ran this whole thing. It was all a scam. It was all fake. And she ended up, after everything was said and done, after all of the posts were made and all of the people were worried about her and commenting on these posts, she made a YouTube video to make money. And we're going to talk about it.
So, you've been canceled. 10 years ago, no one would have known what those words mean, and now,
critical of J.K. Rowling.
R.I.P. J.K. Rowling.
We hear them nearly every day. People get canceled for jokes, for opinions that were mainstream just a few years ago,
blasting the popular actor and comedian for old tweets and comedy routines,
for simple, dumb mistakes.
Stop hunting for goodwill. You're not going to find much in this country.
Here's the thing. Don't believe everything you see online.
You're just lying.
Who knows if any of it's true?
I just get in front of the camera and do it. Walk away, I'll get somebody.
Cancel culture is crazy.
It's all nonsense across the board.
And here's something that's even more crazy. I'm going to spend the next 7 days trying to get myself canceled.
First of all, the fact that she thinks she's an A, B, C, or even D-list celebrity is just mind-blowing to me.
Our next speaker is a content marketing expert. Would you like for her to show you how to do it? Put your hands together for the one and only.
I dreamed about that day for so long. Finally receiving recognition for my work, feeling validated for how hard I worked, feeling like I'd done something that I could be proud of. And when that moment finally happened, it turned out to be a nightmare. I never saw that coming. I thought that this recognition, this thing that I had dreamed of, this moment where you're supposed to feel like, oh, I made it. I did not see that coming.
Miss Marley Jacks!
I got this award. To some, it might just be a business award, but to me, it symbolized how far I'd come. I'd worked my butt off to go from being a dental hygienist to having this little social media side business to having a full-blown business, being the CEO of my own company and being where I never imagined my life taking me. But one day, one person put out one flat-out lie online. Yeah, someone said I faked my award. They said I bought it. And that lie just spiraled out of control and got completely out of hand. I got bombarded with emails and DMs, hundreds of them. People threatened me.
Are you kidding me?
Marley Jacks.
All because of one lie amplified on social media.
So that part was true. She was accused of financing her 2 Comma Club award, which, if you're not familiar with the 2 Comma Club award, this is an award that is given out by Clickfunnels to business owners, to individuals, to coaches who have built their sales page or a part of their business within Clickfunnels, and their revenue, but not their profit, was $1 million or more. So 2 commas in the number, you get a 2 Comma Club award.
Looking back, I wonder, is this what it feels like to get canceled? Is this how it happens? Can anyone at any time get caught up in this spiral of deceitful hatred? Let's get canceled. I'm in the middle of a scheme that may or may not take the internet by storm. This bowl contains the most scandalous, outrageous ideas known to humanity. I am going to pick them at random and post them online and just see what happens.
Shout out to her editor team. If it's one person, if it's more than one person, this editing style for YouTube is not the easiest to do. So for them to make it seem so real for almost 30 minutes is pretty mind-blowing. So great job to you.
Will the mob mentality come out? Will people defend me? Will I have to defend myself? Seriously, what am I getting into? Star Wars is overrated. People can get really heated about that. Pineapple on pizza, all right? The earth is flat. Why is NASA covering it up? I can't say that out loud.
Oh, I mean, you can't say it, but you can tweet it.
I'm gonna get canceled making this video. No, that's where I draw the line. Absolutely not. Okay, that one's better. I wonder how much of cancel culture is just a reflection of something that we are unable to acknowledge in ourselves, and so we just cancel. If you make a mistake, I should be able to hold your feet to the fire and blame you for things. Does that only keep them further in the dark? Isolating and shutting them out, that's not gonna help anyone. How does that help anyone grow? And what about for the people who are getting canceled today for something they said or did or tweeted like 10 years ago? When you're out in the world and you only have one aspect of view, that's how you're gonna operate. Everyone's correct given their viewpoint, meaning I'm only considering mine. I haven't looked at it from the other person. We don't know what Will Smith has gone through.
I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees.
And I'm not taking a side here by saying that, but it is a fact that he has done good things. And it is a fact that he has made mistakes. And so many people are quick to judge instead of to see how we could help. I feel very uncomfortable right now.
I will also add that I don't agree with cancel culture. I think that people have to take responsibility and ownership for the wrong things that they are doing, but I don't think that we should completely write somebody off for something that they did if they are actively working to better themselves to make that situation right. Yeah, that's my stance on cancel culture.
Here we go. Let's do pineapple on pizza. Okay. I'm like really nervous doing this. I'm starting tame and then we'll get more offensive over time. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Change my mind. And tweet. Dave Chappelle is the top 3 funniest men alive. Change my mind. I have an opinion on my top favorite comedians. Again, based on my perspective, my belief. I haven't seen as much Dave Chappelle content. I am not exposed to as much. The FBI is the most corrupt organization in the country. Change my mind. I don't think I can say that in a video. The world would be a better place with more capitalists. All right, let's try that. So going through Twitter, the only people that were outraged was my brother. What's going on with your Twitter? It looks really bad. And someone else outraged about UFOs. Instagram, however, we got a few flat earthers. People are stupid, 100% false. Nope, 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 not a chance. The earth is round, that's grounded in science. And then someone said, please leave. I'm wondering where all this cancel culture started. It seems like 10 years ago, it wasn't a thing. What happened? There will always be people who say bad things or do bad things and everyone goes, yeah, we don't want to know that person, you're out of here. But this seems different. We have people fired from their jobs for making jokes, people scared to speak or say what they think. Kevin Hart stepped down as the host of the Academy Awards in 2019 because of some old tweets from 2011 that contained some questionable language.
Blasting the popular actor and comedian for old tweets and comedy routines.
But he's a comedian who tells edgy jokes, right? J.K. Rowling has been canceled and actors from the Harry Potter franchise have disassociated themselves from her. Used to be that you could recover from a mistake, and now it seems like if you put a foot out of line, it's game over. And if everyone's gonna be canceled for what they did in the past, what's the future? I don't really have an opinion on this. I don't know what to make of it, so it's time to call in the experts. What's your background and your experience with PR? You work with people that are well known, some celebrities.
I jump ahead of, okay, you're gonna do the speech on the stage, who's the audience, who are we speaking to, what's going on in today's culture, what should you avoid in saying in terms of maybe you'll step over yourself. So it was a matter of, let's prepare, if this were to happen, what then? I worked at a company where there was a general counsel who was actually sexually harassing women there. He had ended up saying something to me in front of other women, and I was pretty high up in the company, and I had told him right then and there, I was like, do not say that ever again to me. I ended up going to HR, and she said that because the general counsel was so close to the CEO, that she would be fired if she brought it up to the CEO. And she said that if I wanted anything done, I had to take it to them. So we got the CEO, and he was like, well, maybe if he just like apologizes. And I was like, you have 30 women in your office right now confessing that they have been groomed or that they have had sexual harassment statements made to you, and you're just saying like an apology is okay and acceptable. And I was like, whoa. The CEO ended up calling a very internationally known lawyer who knew the general counsel really well, and the CEO was like, I need guidance, like, what do I do? And that lawyer, who represents international brands, said, oh, I knew that about him. You didn't? Are you letting him go because I'll rehire him? He knew it however long he knew him, because they knew each other at the same time. Yeah.
I would almost be offended if she was having me be in this video and I was somebody who cancel culture affected me in some way. I feel like it's a mockery almost of what these people actually went through.
It was full stop for me. I had totally backed out of the situation. It was like, I'm not going to fight this any further. I eventually left, but that company is still dealing with sexual harassment and still doesn't fire people because of it.
The company handles sexual harassment and gender discrimination complaints.
You were wronged somehow by somebody, or you think a celebrity is doing something wrong. If you go to fight them, they have the money to hire the lawyers. Oh, I don't. Or they can afford a lawyer that even competes with, the groups of lawyers that celebrities are able to do. It's not enough to be like, oh, I'm gonna slap you on the wrist with, just a fine. No, you can't make more money. The threat of paying off a victim may not be scary to a multimillionaire. The threat of not being able to make more money, though, is terrifying. Everyone would label the thing that this person did as bad. 100%, they'd be like, that was wrong, I cannot believe they did that, they should go to jail for life. But when it becomes somebody they know, it's hard to break free of the, let me protect them, let me love them, and who you're in support of represents you too, so they couldn't have done that. I wouldn't support somebody who would do that. I've seen that cancel culture actually holds those type of people accountable, whereas if cancel culture wasn't part of today's culture, they would not be scared at all. They would just keep doing what they're doing.
So far, it hasn't really worked. My effort to get soft canceled hasn't worked to this point. It's tough because I am trying to get a reaction. I have gotten some strong opinions, but I feel like I haven't gotten to the heart of what does it feel like to get canceled? What does the isolation feel like? What does people not liking me feel like? I mean, I've felt that enough in my life already. I feel like everyone has, but to this level, there's more to explore here. I just don't know how to provoke this reaction without going down a path that I can't come back from. Like, I'm not gonna do something racist or discriminatory, that's just not me. Nothing is working. So I went to the street and I asked a number of people, what would it take for me to be unlikable or for me to be canceled? Polarizing people may be the most hated, but also very strongly loved by their audience that resonates. What about this? What if I ran into the street and said the worst word that I could think of? What if it was the F word? What if it was the N word? What if instead of my neighborhood street, it was in the middle of crowded downtown? Is it worse in a neighborhood where people know where I live, or is it worse in a huge crowd of strangers?
It's just gross. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why you are trying to do this. I get the point. I get the point you're trying to prove, but to go to this extent to actually have it happen to you, I don't think the thought process, I don't think it was thought through all the way before it was done. I think it was done for views, to be honest.
Could I ask you a couple questions about cancel culture? Sure. What would I have to do for you to not like me?
Something mean to someone else, or like litter.
Probably just be rude.
Be rude?
Yeah.
Ignore.
I don't know you.
I think interactions on the street are a huge deal because you can tell when someone knows each other when they're having an argument or not.
I feel like the only time I cancel people is when they cancel someone that I like.
People feel like they can't even speak their minds or have to tiptoe around people just to not offend someone.
one. He didn't like what I was saying. Didn't like that I was just, like, that's the whole point. I'm just trying, and I tried to say, like, hey, it's for a documentary. He's like, I don't give a, like, he was like swearing at me. I see security coming our way, so I'm just gonna, Kendrick, let's just like turn the camera.
So we went to the park and I said some controversial things, and like some people commented on it, like some people joked along with it, and then there was an altercation.
I'm pretty sure when she was like screaming in the footage, I'm pretty sure one of the words they beeped out was pineapple.
What's another one?
I'll have to replay it and you can tell me what you think.
Is what they called it. Like at first I thought it was a joke, and I don't know if he thought that I was joking, but like this guy was yelling at me. Then the security came and got involved. Then the police came and got involved, and I was just like, I'm not having it. I just wanted to do this like silly little experiment. I don't know if we're gonna finish the experiment.
All right, Evan, so you work in an industry where people want to get into the press, but I imagine that your phone has just been like ringing off the hook with the day and the age that we're in with cancel culture.
Without a doubt, over the last several years, we've seen an enormous increase in the number of people seeking assistance playing defense. You know, we're unique in that we really do have two main types of clients. Yes, we have those who want to get in the press, and we also have a whole subset who want to get out of the press. And then we have the subset of clients who are facing either a high stakes or crisis or complex circumstance, or they're facing a cancel culture attack. Most people don't really understand the degree to which people's lives are destroyed when they are subjected to cancel culture. But the problem that we have is the speed with which you can go from being perfectly fine and progressing with your life or your career to fighting for your literal life. A woman almost lost her life because she endured so many threats, and gangs of people armed with weapons showed up at her home to kill her based upon a video that went viral, and she nearly died. What people don't understand is cancel culture can have serious, long-lasting consequences for the people who are subjected to the attacks. But look, we have accountability. We are afforded due process under the law. With cancel culture, that doesn't happen. You are tried, convicted, and sentenced before you've even made your defense pleadings. We are guaranteed constitutionally the right to free speech and free expression. With cancel culture, that doesn't happen. If I did something to you, Marley, I could apologize and you would forgive me. And then we would move on with our lives. Now, the problem with cancel culture is I do something wrong to you. It's not just viewed as I did something to you personally. It's I've done something against the collective. I've done it against women overall, writ large. But it's really the average guy or woman who finds themselves as woefully unprepared. They don't have teams of handlers and publicists and lawyers and agents. Those people are more at risk than anyone else of being canceled. And that's what we found as we were doing the research for the book and talking to people whose lives were disrupted and ruined. They just never saw it coming. And so I hope that people will pause for a moment before they jump on their keyboards and they pile on with attacking someone under fire. And keep in mind, these are real people. They have jobs, they have families to support. And when you cancel someone and you permanently punish them, then we take away the willingness of our society to be forgiving, and we take away all semblance of grace and order. And that's why I set out to write this book. I want to shine a light on how damaging this practice is and make the case that the only thing that we need to cancel is cancel culture itself.
He's not wrong.
So day 2 proved to be insignificant. Day 1, we knew it was gonna be a little bit of a soft cancel. We just wanted to get some controversy. Day 2, we were hoping to get out the mob mentality, which, as you can see, there was a little altercation. Day 3, our plan is to go to, babe, can you get that? So I'm gonna continue with like day 3, we're gonna do like a
we'll start like a day
HOA meeting.
We'll start from the top, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, did you tell a contest set? Maybe we should be good to go.
What?
Marley Jacks?
Hi.
Is that a
A Boise social media influencer
has been arrested and
And
charged.
now the woman could face assault charges.
As an entrepreneur, she's a CEO.
All for a video prank.
The police chief says this was no laughing matter.
Marley.
We've actually like put this video down for like 2 weeks.
Because it's fake.
I can't even talk about it because I can't believe I'm saying this. My legal counsel said I can't. But in the meantime, people are talking about it and I can't say anything.
We also still have those other, 11 videos that can still do pretty good.
With this reputation though, like people think that I don't know what they think. By then, like, will it even matter? I feel like people are gonna be like, you got what you asked for. But this is my life. Like this is, every time my phone buzzes, I'm like, I don't know if I wanna know. There are people that I know and people that I don't know that are publicly attacking me for something that isn't true. My team is like handling questions and emails. Steven's getting inundated with messages, some of my best friends, and they're all asking me what to say, and I'm like, don't believe everything you see on the internet. I have people that are reaching out, people that care about me, and I also can't say anything to them either, which is also hard. That's an interesting thought too, is like there's people that I thought I would hear from in a time of need that I didn't hear from. And then I wonder, like, how would I react if it was the other way? Like, would I jump to be there for them? Or maybe we weren't as close as I thought. Hey, I'm at Inner Circle today, so it's like really awkward to be here. I'll tell you everything very soon, but I really appreciate you. It's like when I woke up this morning, I didn't even want to look at my phone. It's really hard walking in that room with all of my peers and, smile, say hello, and not sure if they're smiling back at me to be friendly or if they're smiling with sympathy, like they know. Whatever their reaction is, it's so genuinely painful. A lot of people have jumped to my defense. Some people who I don't even know are commenting and like kind of adding fuel to the fire. I definitely feel dizzy. Like you don't know the conversations going on behind closed doors because the negativity is so much louder. I am in a constant state of anxiety and I don't know when the pressure will release. I'm feeling very safe in this stairwell right now. The moment I walk out there, it's all real.
It's all real and fake at the same f***ing time.
Yeah, I don't like, do I go out there? Do I talk to people? Yeah, we probably should. Okay, I'm gonna go in and just be.
Nobody twists arms, nobody's forcing anything, they're not doing it for anything. Like you earned that love.
Yeah. Sorry about your
garbage.
Yeah.
It
sucks.
You're living your life and doing all the things right and just doing your thing, and then something comes along that's out of your control that just being in that spot, it just sucks. It just sucks.
You can't control other people's thoughts. You can't control what other people are saying. Yeah, if you need a safe place, come find us. And even if we like pretend to have conversations, like if you need me to just stand here and like, you know, there's no Marley to see here.
So these people are all thinking that she's going through this hard time, and it's all fake. It's all fake.
Well, it's been 24 hours since I posted Marley's mugshot on social media. And I gotta say, I'm disappointed. I really thought that there would be more hate. Come on, guys. Where is the pitchforks?
I feel like I'm gonna throw up. We put this video, as well as my whole life, on hold. We had 7 days of experiments planned out. We were gonna do the soft, controversial tweets, start very mild. We go into public and start up some conversations with strangers and have some polarizing opinions. Day 3, we were gonna go to an HOA meeting and state some controversial opinions. We didn't even get that far. After that happened, I thought, let's just call it off. And then it got leaked. Someone posted a screenshot, and I am really getting what I asked for right now. And I wish I could make it stop. I want this to all be over.
Have you responded to the person that leaked it?
Yeah, I'm messaging him and he's not being very friendly about it.
Did he even tell you how he got it?
No, I have no idea how he got it. Like, I don't know, or maybe he knows someone there and recognized my name or something. And I feel like I dodged a bullet there, that no one noticed it then. Yeah. That's why I was like, we're not gonna do this video anymore. We're gonna lay low. I've like cried all my tears. I am numb. I am talking to everyone that I can, but I'm also not allowed to talk to people about what happened. And it's so hard because I know the power of being able to tell your story.
I'm Travis Ritchie, and for the last 15 years I've been an entrepreneur. I've invested in over a dozen companies. I've employed hundreds of people and have built a real estate portfolio that allows me the freedom to do what I want to do on a daily basis. My passion and my labor of love is pouring into individuals who are incarcerated and giving them purpose on what they can do. And that's because I'm a felon. Yeah, trusted the wrong people, that's for sure. I was in my early 20s, and my whole goal in life was to manage money, love finances, enjoyed business, and was giving people a rate of return that allowed them to do things that they had never done before. When you give people this sense of financial freedom, there's a lot of ego that goes along with that. People can do things that they've always dreamt of, and it gives you a sense of fulfillment. 24 years old, had many millions of dollars under management. We were registered with the federal government and failed to register with the state of Arizona. In that state, at that time, anything over the threshold of $99,000 is a class 4 felony. I had 66 of them. The state of Arizona indicted me, transactions of an unregistered securities dealer. Simply put, if an individual were to raise a lot of money to gather assets and to not tell a governing body, it would be viewed fraudulently. That money went from bank account A to bank account B, and the state of Arizona was not told about it. I was guilty. There was no money laundering, no bank transfers, no bank heist. It was very vanilla and very boring. And because of that, I fought that for years, years and years. Never taken into custody, never arrested, which is very confusing because you're on the 5 o'clock news. I remember getting the phone call from my attorney and he said, you're gonna be on the news tonight. They've called us. We haven't commented, but they're gonna air it. And I'll never forget it. I was sitting at the dinner table by myself and I remember my story coming up and the only photo that they had of me was my driver's license photo from 16. It kind of made me giggle at the moment because here you are under a multi-million-dollar indictment and here's this 16-year-old kid that looks like he did it. I remember the newscaster read the story like it was just language. It's their job. So he went through it start to finish, lasted about 90 seconds, and it was over. You can't unring that bell. You're put on the news and the court of public opinion definitely reigns supreme. At this time, I'm still running the business. And so you have one foot in, arguing and fighting for your life, and you have one foot out because you're so discouraged and confused. An individual does something bad, police officers show up, you're handcuffed, you're given charges, you argue and you get an outcome. It was 6 years for me. No handcuffs, no police officers. A lot of backdoor conversations, a lot of money. I turned over deeds to assets, vehicles, and homes. I hired defense counsel because they were connected with the prosecutor's office. And up until this point, I thought, this is where we write a humongous check and get slapped, and we move on with this chapter. He said, I'm gonna make an example out of you. I remand you to 2 years in the Arizona Department of Corrections. I'm like, that's the moment that life just stops.
Did you feel canceled?
Oh, without a doubt. Family and friends, for sure. There is this presumption from the mob of absolute guilt before any conversation, really.
People lose sight of the fact they conflate cancel culture with actual wrongdoing under the law.
And I think once it's on Google, once it's on the 5 o'clock news, it cements a lot of people's justification to tell you how they know you're wrong. I had so many years of pent-up aggression and anger and sadness, depression and guilt and shame for everything that had transpired. I knew that I was going to use this mess for a message. And so coming back out, I knew that I had to control the narrative.
You have to be willing to tell your story, because if you're not, someone else is going to tell it for you, and you can rest assured they're not going to tell it in the way that you want it told.
I mean, you have so many people that are so afraid to say what's on their mind. I started putting it out there, and it was so uncomfortable at first. You don't talk about going to prison. And so when I controlled the narrative, people were more interested in learning what I had learned versus learning about what I had done.
This has been insane. I set out to explore cancel culture by getting myself canceled, and things went a little different to how I planned. I wanted to explore what it would be like to be in that situation, to see how easy it is to get people to believe something just because it's on social media. In the week I ran this experiment, I'll be honest, it might have been the hardest thing I've ever done. I pissed people off. I almost lost my mind. I also found out who has my back, and that's invaluable to know who your real friends are. Was it worth it? Well, I haven't been able to share with you what really happened until now. The truth is, each part of the experiment you saw was completely fabricated in terms of what happened for the effect of this video. Dan!
What's up?
I have the craziest idea I need to pitch you on.
I like crazy ideas. Okay.
Don't believe everything you see on the internet. The response was not.
Okay, sure, yeah. Don't believe everything you see online, but you were literally playing it out like it was real. It wasn't like word of mouth. It wasn't any of that. You put people up to this and had them, specifically Dan, had him post specific things that you wanted to get out there. You sat in your bathroom and took a mugshot so people could think that you were arrested for assault and battery. That is a problem. Maybe one day she will, like, I don't know, take responsibility and admit that this maybe wasn't the best way to go about proving a point about cancel culture. Again, I don't agree with cancel culture. I don't think people should be canceled. I don't think her business should be canceled. I have opinions about her type of business and the way that she runs it and the marketing tactics that she uses, in the sense that it's all money, 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 and not like, this is how I will help you. It's, I'm going to help you make this money and you're going to have a cash flow of money. It's not, that's for a different video. But anyway.
But I don't want the entire general internet to think that like this is normal and acceptable.
The majority of people actually came to Marley's defense.
Dan was willing to take a lot of bullets for this experiment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How'd you feel watching this? What do you think of cancel culture? Just like I said in the beginning, don't believe everything you see online. Who knows if any of it's true?
So she comes out and she says that she found out who has her back and blah, 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 but she really didn't, because it was all fake. I honestly don't understand what her purpose was to do this, aside from people talking about it. Like, that's the only logical explanation that I can find, is like just having the brand awareness. Like, there's nothing that came out of this. And I can only imagine, like, being somebody in her circle who cares about her, who is her friend, and seeing this video without knowing that it was all fabricated, or without knowing that she was going to be doing this. I would feel for her and I'd be worried about her while I was watching the video for 30 minutes. And then at the end, I would honestly be pissed off. It's so annoying. And I think it's a douchebag move to do this. There's no purpose behind it. People are actually thinking that this is happening to you as they're watching it. And then at the end of this 30 minutes, you say, this was all fabricated. Let me know what you think. What the fuck? It doesn't change my mind about cancel culture. I hate cancel culture. It's dumb. And I know other people think the other way, and it's not going to change their mind about cancel culture. So I just, like, I don't understand what her logic was behind it. I don't know what the agenda was. I honestly don't know. I'm not close to her. I don't talk to her. So I guess I'll never know. But I think it speaks volumes about the type of coach that she is. If she is going to be coaching other people to, like Danielle Ryan says, coaching coaches to be coaches. If she's going to be coaching other people to act this way, to put this type of content out and test being canceled, I think it speaks volumes about her as a coach. So I did also find a blog post from an individual who apparently is or was a friend of Marley's. I think they're still friends. And she was not super happy about the way things went down. I'll link this whole blog post below so that you can go and read it as well. This is from somebody named Julie Chanel. I'm sorry if that is not how you pronounce your last name. And it looks like she works within marketing and funnels and strategy and things like that, but she also has a blog, and she made a whole blog about this situation. Sorry, my lighting is going to get a little wacky because I have to turn up my brightness on my computer so that I can actually see it. So the title of this blog is A Hot Take on Marley Jaxx's Cancel Culture Documentary and Social Experiment. Please do not use my words to cancel anyone, okay? And so it reads, it's with a strange combination of embarrassment, frustration, and amusement that I write this post. In our little micro bubble of internet marketing, two fairly well-known personalities, Marley Jaxx and Dan Henry, sought to make a point about cancel culture through a social experiment. They purposely lied to their entire community of followers for nearly 48 hours to capture real-time reactions to online behavior for a YouTube documentary. Hindsight is always 20/20. This hot take is 100% editorialized and from my point of view only. I also ask that if you're going to comment on this, please read all the way to the end. First, you should know that I personally know both Dan and Marley. I have a longer connection with Dan than Marley, but prior to this, I would say I have a pretty good idea about their general online persona. I think both of them know me fairly well too. A few days ago, Dan's post showed up in my feed. It was April 19th at around 10 p.m. at night. I haven't commented much on Dan's feed these days, mainly because of a lot of it is super polarizing. I'm tired and I don't have the energy to spokesperson in the comments and bat off the haters that can't stand me. But this one stopped me in my tracks. And then it shows Dan Henry's post with Marley's fake mugshot that she took in her bathroom. And it says, wow, you guys know Marley Jaxx? Does anyone else know about this? Looks like she had to tell someone twice. And it just shows the mugshot. It says that she was charged with aggravated assault and battery. And so at the time that this was screenshotted, there was 240 comments, 3 shares, and a bunch of reactions. So the blog post continues on and it says, I was 100% triggered by it and I knew it. The idea that Dan would air someone else's alleged dirty laundry without context was infuriating, mainly because it's happened to me. I haven't spoken publicly about it and can't right now either, but I felt so much sadness that on top of whatever she might be going through, Dan was using his platform to make it infinitely worse. And Dan isn't some perfect personality. Why would he perpetuate cancel culture when he damn well knows what it feels like? I decided to go to bed and responded in the morning if it was still on my mind. I wasn't going to let my trigger pull me into a fight. I woke up super early that morning and around 6:30 a.m. with a decent night's sleep in me, I wrote a comment I felt encapsulated my thoughts and feelings without attacking anyone. So her comment read, we have no idea if this is even real. We live in a country where people are innocent until proven guilty. All this does is stir up the rumor mill, give Marley and Steve a massive headache to deal with, and plant seeds of doubt in people's minds that are literally useless and uncalled for. It also has nothing to do with her business whatsoever. It also has nothing to do with you or your business either. There's not one string of connection to why you would be posting this. We all make mistakes. Again, no idea if this is real, what the circumstances were, etc. We all have things in our life that we don't want on social media. Even in the black and white, open and shut situation where it's clear someone has up. The internet isn't really into redemption, grace, and mercy. It's all just public shame, cancel, 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 and a refusal to give anyone a do-over or a second, third chance. I want to live in a world where God's mercies are new every morning, where people hold judgment before reacting, where forgiveness is a rule, not the exception. Someday, somewhere, we are all going to be caught with our pants down if we haven't already, so consider that. Watching people get destroyed on social media so publicly is terrible. I wish you'd delete this. I know you love to poke fun, and that's fine. But this crosses a line and serves no purpose other than to drive engagement for you at Marley's expense. If you want engagement, let's have another fight. I'm too tired. Never mind. So from what I understand, Dan Henry has stirred up some drama in the past. And so that is what she's kind of referring to. I don't know the ins and outs of that drama. That'll have to be for a different video. So the blog continues on to say, that whole morning I kept thinking about cancel culture, about how unfair it is that people are held in their past, even if there's only one side of the story being told. Even if they're sorry, even if there were complicating factors, I didn't want to cancel Dan either. I just wanted him to stop pouring gasoline on the fire. I went to Marley's timeline that morning and saw her cryptic post and gave her some love. So she apparently commented on the post and said, head up, held high, doesn't matter the details, really, hugs. So then it continues on to say, Thursday was a busy day for me, so I spent a lot of the morning in meetings. At around 1 p.m., Dan basically 10x'd the attention by posting a screenshot of Marley begging him to take it down. And so apparently Marley, this was in the video as well, but Marley was messaging Dan Henry on Voxer and saying, take this down, blah, 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 so that they could get the screenshots, apparently. When the screenshot went up, I was hella conflicted. On the one hand, it was cringe level 10 that he was posting this. On the other hand, it seemed almost unbelievable. My intuition went off. It was like, wait, this is so out of character for even someone as polarizing as Dan. This time, I didn't give it a good night's sleep. I just immediately responded. And this is what she said. I cannot for the life of me figure out why you're doing this, Dan, or what the purpose is. I know you're polarizing, but this seems so malicious, and it's hard to believe that exchange is real. The only thing I can think of is that maybe in some alternate universe, you are doing some marketing experiment or campaign, and then in a few days, you and Marley are going to say, hey, this was all fabricated to prove a point. Interesting. I don't know. Like, to prove how anyone can be canceled, AI makes everything fake? I don't know, man. That's my only conclusion. I can't even wrap my head around any other option here. This comment got a lot of conversation. I even got a few drive-by haters. So the quote-unquote haters said this, oof, I don't even want to say that. And I say that word all the time, but yikes. This bee beat her husband and you're mad at Dan? Thanks for telling everyone you're for the streets. And then she replied and said, oh dear Lord, I'm not mad at Dan. I'm not mad at Marley, but you, my friend, have made a ton of assumptions about all of it. It was clear that whatever was going on, Dan was stirring the pot big time, or so I thought. By the end of the day, I was starting to sniff out that this appeared to be an act. And even if it was, my feelings and emotions were 100% real. I was feeling confused, annoyed, and sad. I wanted people to know that no matter how hard you someone, they're still human. At first, I wasn't going to put anything on my timeline about Dan or Marley. I didn't want to be that person. And honestly, a lot of people like to offer unsolicited advice, saying things like, keep your head down and just work and ignore the bullshit. Don't give it any attention, not your monkey, not your mess. It's not wrong advice technically, but for me, this wasn't just your typical slow down to watch the car wreck moment. This is a very real and present issue in my life and has been, and something I would typically write about. It's like asking a talking head sportscaster not to talk about some controversial referee call at a high stakes game. Of course, I was going to talk about it. Sometimes people want to say what they don't know how to say. I went ahead and put up a post about forgiveness and remembering that people are human. So her post reads, public humiliation and shame are some of the worst forms of torture and punishment, far worse than some types of physical pain and much longer lasting. It prevents people from healing and growing since you are held in your past. Public posts filled with gossip, rumors, story that lack context. I've seen firsthand the damage they can do. I've written a few myself. I've been the target of some. I've learned a lot about responsibility of an online presence. There's a fine line between telling your story, telling the truth, and rallying a mob. Intention matters, impact matters, context matters, nuance matters. Of course, we're going to have opinions and want to talk about them. It's normal to share our experiences, especially ones that are firsthand. But how to do it without fully villainizing someone? How to hold space for the fact that maybe there's more to the story? There's the saying, all is fair in love and war. And the idea that business is business. And if you don't want to compete, don't get in the ring. And all of that can be true. We can fiercely debate, sure. We can confidently share the truth of our experience. But we all make mistakes. Read. All. No one is exempt. We're all capable of incredible, good, and really dark evil. Whether you are the victim or the writer or the drive-by hater, no one gets it right all the time, but we get to try again. That's the point. Give people a chance to correct, amend, apologize, repair, learn, grow, do better next time. It's okay to retract, delete, recalibrate. Things can be gray, not just black and white. Things can be and versus or. Two opposing truths can be true at the same time. People change. People do dumb things and regret it sometimes. People grow. Most people are intimately acquainted with their own failings and don't need reminding. Unless you're dealing with a true narcissist, most of us live with some shame and guilt. This is as much a reminder for me as anyone following me. The people who put others on blast are still human. The people who allegedly commit crimes are still human. The people who are drive-by haters are still human. The people who silently watch and judge are still human. Common denominator, human. On Friday, there was no new information. Dan was still stoking the fire a bit, as he loves to do, and various comments continued to float in, but I was still annoyed and couldn't quite pinpoint why. At about 2:30 p.m., I finally decided to Vox Dan privately, and we proceeded to talk for an hour and a half. He never once gave up that he was in on the social experiment, but it was pretty obvious to me that the Dan I was talking to was not the same person acting like a maniac on social media. People were DMing me with questions. Some were over in Boise, Idaho, with Marley at Inner Circle, and it was clear by her silence, by the way people were talking, that this was staged and we were going to hear about it soon. Holy shit. You guys, this is crazy. Honestly, it really didn't help my mood. I'd spent all this bandwidth wondering, thinking, trying to understand, and to find out it was going to be some big reveal felt like I was being used in an experiment for a few likes. Her post about her upcoming live stream and request to comment, "I'm in," left a sour taste in my mouth. This was the first moment I felt angry. So then she has a screenshot of Marley's status from that day. It says, "I really need to get this out. Comment, I'll be there if you're going to show up." And she had like an event created for the video that we talked about in the beginning of this video. Promised Dan I'd watch. He kept asking if I would, and now I see why. When I watched the live stream, Marley quickly admitted that this had been all her idea. She put Dan up to it, and Dan was just playing his part. Side note, Dan should be in the movies. I've said it for years. I maintain my position. The live stream basically explained the social experiment and pushed people to watch the documentary on YouTube. I was not amused. This felt annoying as honestly. I'd have to agree. So apparently this individual did comment on this post, and here's what she said. "Man, I don't know. Marley Jaxx, I know you've been at the hands of cyberbullies, so I know why this was an important issue to you. Dan Henry, I knew something was off with that second post of the Voxer screenshot. I couldn't make sense of why you were doing something so outrageous. I was trying to make sense of both of you, honestly. As a colleague, friend, acquaintance, I'm not going to lie, this felt really for me. I have been canceled, and it's terrifying and horrible, and I feel like this whole escapade in a weird way trivialized the experience. I don't think this was poor intention, but it certainly was the impact. I think maybe interviewing people who it happened to might have been a better course of action than lying and manipulating thousands of people. Also, the idea that this was needed for the documentary when the documentary is already out didn't make sense to me. I haven't watched it yet unless it's included in there already, and people's comments are cemented in stone after being lied to. Feels so off. I'm not going to cancel anyone over this. A good night's sleep will make it not a big deal tomorrow. But a serious amount of trust has been broken for me. I get the idea of it and I get the intention, but the impact was something very different. A lot of people feel played. A lot of people who've been canceled might feel like doing it on purpose for the sake of a YouTube documentary launch was not in great taste. I have to sit with it. Maybe I'll feel different in a couple of days. But right now, it feels really. I was feeling humiliated and embarrassed that I'd spent a lot of time on this. I knew it was 100% my responsibility that I had done so. No. See, this is why I have such a problem with this whole experiment that Marley Jaxx did. Because now she's blaming herself for spending time on being concerned about her friend. That's the problem. It's disgusting. And if anybody, personally, I wouldn't want to work with any kind of business coach that was putting their friends and their other clients or their community in this position of being worried about her when nothing was going on. Nothing. In some way, I felt like even though I knew Marley and I had both suffered at the hands of cyberbullies, this experiment trivialized it and I felt more alone. You know how a stampede starts? Someone yells something into the crowd and panic ensues. It doesn't even matter if it's actually true or not. Same with yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. Sit there all you want and say, I didn't mean it, but the fact is, stirring up this kind of drama could have had unintended consequences for people that, even if done by third-party people, would have been stoked by this experiment. After all was said and done, I went over to YouTube and watched the documentary. It was very well done technically. Like I said, props to the editor. It was obvious Marley and her team had spent a lot of time on it. As I watched, I found myself in agreement with so much of what she was saying and describing. There's no question cancel culture has gotten totally out of hand, and it really does ruin people's lives. By the time I got to the end, I felt like the emotional soup I was swimming in had a few more feelings in it. I still felt used and embarrassed. I was still mad. I also understood the concept and principle. I felt relieved my intuition was right about Dan. I felt impressed by the quality of the documentary. It caused me to question what's worth it for the sake of making a point. Was this what had to be done to make a point? It certainly sparked emotion, but lying so ferociously felt ick. One question I just can't get out of my head. Could Marley have actually told the truth about something personal and risked getting canceled for real rather than fabricating a story? I know in my life, if I want to be canceled, I can simply pull a few sordid tales out of my skeleton closet, and I will have plenty to work with. I'm sure she has some too, don't we all? My conclusion is that while the idea of the experiment to bring attention to cancel culture can be applauded, the experiment fell short some. Instead of putting something out there that was real and honestly true, she chose to make up a lie and fool thousands of people so she could safely show it was fake later. That's not what being canceled feels like. It feels like there's no escape. You are guilty forever. There's no redemption, no nuance, no growth, certainly no grace and applause and thousands of views. I'm not going to cancel anyone over this. I'm not going to hate Marley or hate Dan. By Monday, this whole thing will be old news. I know it was a risk what she and Dan did, and sometimes you have to shoot your shot and try. I get it. I'm willing to see that and acknowledge that her intentions were good on this, but the impact felt different. It's always easy for it to seem so cool when you're on the inside knowing what's going on and using people's real-time reactions for your B-roll. Please understand, as I said in my post on my timeline the other day, I've taken people to task in a way that I regret. I've made the wrong call many times. I'm not spotless. The opposite, in fact. I would love nothing more than to live in a world where you get to learn from your mistakes and grow. I would love to live in a world where I could erase the things I wrote and said in anger. The line between speaking your mind, lively debate, friendly competition, character assassination is blurry. There's a difference between intention and impact. If you're a writer or creator, you're forced to walk this line every single day. I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling this way, and because the topic is cancel culture, it almost feels like if you have a dissenting opinion and share it, you're proving the point, which means there's not an easy way to respond without aligning with it or risk feeling like you're proving some point about cancel culture. I'm going to give Marley the benefit of the doubt and say that my own embarrassment and triggers have probably colored my ability to see this totally clearly, but let this hot take be an addendum to the cancel culture experiment. See, this is, again, where I have a problem because she's saying that the fact that she was triggered by this or that she was embarrassed by this is her own fault. This is not true. You were put in, anybody who felt this way during this whole thing, because I've read other things that have included people that were not happy about this whole experiment. You were put in this position by said person to feel this way. That's nobody's fault. That is not your own fault. Your feelings are not your own fault. You have a right to your feelings. And I think that those are feelings that are valid. Those are valid feelings. If my friend put something like this on the internet and I thought it to be true, and I thought that they were being torn down for something that happened outside of their business, and then I found out it was a lie for an experiment, I would be pissed. And I'm sorry, I'm not blaming myself for being upset about that, for caring about somebody enough to be spending time thinking about it and worrying about them and checking up on them. I am not going to feel guilty about that. I'm going to feel embarrassed and I'm going to feel pissed the off. And I don't think anybody should feel guilt or shame about feeling those feelings when you were put in this situation. She ended it with, the more influence you have, the more careful you have to be, even when your intentions are good. Signed, a gullible standby social media commenter who's a bit salty, but still thinks she makes some good points. So that was a show that kind of happened like behind the scenes. I think it's a great depiction of what is happening inside of the Clickfunnels world. It's a great depiction of the marketing that goes on inside of the Clickfunnels world. It's kind of disgusting and deceiving, and it's just shining a light on that a little more. And that's what I'm here to do. So thanks for hanging out with me while I talked a bunch of shit, and I will see you in the next one.